Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you something. Have you ever bought her something expensive, jewelry, a new phone, a trip somewhere tropical, and still felt like you were missing something? Like no matter how much you give, there's a part of her that still feels distant. It's not because she doesn't appreciate you. It's not because she's ungrateful. It's because what women crave deep down isn't always what they say out loud. It's not the luxury, it's not the lifestyle, it's not even the money. It's what money symbolizes: attention, care, admiration, leadership, presence, mystery, intimacy, the feeling of being desired, not just maintained. Women love security, yes, but that's not what makes them stay up at night, reliving a moment with you in their mind. What leaves her breathless isn't the diamond, it's how you made her feel when you looked at her like she was the only woman in the world. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 8 things that speak to a woman's soul, things that stir her longing, open her heart, and make her see you as irreplaceable. And I promise you this, once you understand what these are, money will never have to work so hard again. Have you ever looked at the woman you love, the one you work so hard for, the one you try to protect and provide for, and still feel like you're failing to reach her, like there's a wall between you and her softness, her fire, her laughter? You do everything right. You show up. You pay the bills, you keep things together, and yet there's a disconnect, a silence you can't explain. I know that ache. It's the ache of a man who's giving everything he thinks he's supposed to give and still feels like it's not enough. Not because he's lacking, but because the language of women, their real needs, is rarely spoken in words. You see, love is not logical. It is not transactional. Women are creatures of sensation, meaning emotional resonance. They don't fall for what you have. They fall for who you are when you're with them. They don't remember the price of the gift. They remember the warmth of your eyes as you gave it. And so today, I want to invite you into a new kind of understanding. We're going to explore the 8 things women secretly love more than money. Not because money doesn't matter, but because in truth, it's never been the real currency of connection. Let's begin where it always begins. It starts with presence. Not just being in the room, not just hearing her words and nodding along. I mean real, grounded, masculine presence, the kind that makes her feel like the world has paused and she is the only woman in it. Do you know how rare that is? We live in a distracted world. Your phone buzzes, your work emails never stop, your eyes drift, your mind spins. But when you bring your full attention to her, when you sit across from her and look into her, not through her, it awakens something in her body that no bank account ever could. Presence tells her, I see you, I'm here with you, I'm not running from you, I'm not waiting for you to finish talking, I'm not mentally checking out, I'm with you. And that is erotic. That is emotional. That is rare. Think back. When was the last time you looked at her just to look, not to solve, not to fix, not to get somewhere, just to witness her? That gaze, that stillness, it is the first language of intimacy. And yes, she may not say it outright, but deep inside she craves it. And when you learn how to bring that kind of attention, not only does she open up to you emotionally, her body follows, her defense is lower, her laughter comes easier, and she becomes more generous with her love, her affection, her vulnerability. Now, once you learn to be present, the second thing she secretly loves is your emotional depth, not to be confused with weakness or oversharing. Emotional depth is not about crying on cue or spilling your traumas over dinner. It's about range, the ability to feel, to name your feelings, to hold space for hers without running away or shutting down. You see, most women live in an emotionally rich world. They are taught from a young age to feel, to express, to connect. And yet, when it comes to love, many of them find themselves with men who have been taught the opposite. Men who have been taught that strength is silence, that feelings are feminine, that vulnerability is a risk. But here's the truth she'll never say directly. She's not looking for a man who's numb. She's looking for a man who's alive. A man who feels deeply and stays rooted in himself at the same time. A man who can sit in the fire of his own emotions without needing to escape or control her. When you tell her, not just with words but with presence, that you can feel sadness, jealousy, fear, hope, grief, joy without it collapsing your identity, she begins to trust you. Why? Because she knows that life is unpredictable, that relationships are not always easy, and if you can only handle the sunny days, she can't lean on you in the storm. Women are intuitive. They can tell when a man is emotionally absent, even when he looks calm on the outside. And they can also tell when a man is emotionally present, even if he barely says a word. So when you show her that you can feel and still remain the mountain, when you don't mock or minimize her tears, when you don't get defensive every time she shares something uncomfortable, she relaxes, she melts, because now she doesn't have to carry it all alone. And in that moment, money doesn't matter. It's not that she doesn't value what you provide, but what she remembers, what she longs for, is the emotional resonance, the depth. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you told her how something made you feel? Not what you thought about it, not how you planned to fix it, but how it touched you. When was the last time you asked her about her day and actually paused to hear the feeling behind the words? That's what she craves more than the next vacation, more than the new car, more than the latest piece of jewelry. She wants to feel that you are not just a provider of things, but a provider of truth, of connection, of emotional safety. And emotional safety isn't about always agreeing. It's not about being passive or avoiding conflict. Emotional safety is when she knows she can bring her whole self to the relationship, messy, radiant, loud, soft, scared, passionate, and you won't flinch. You'll stay. You'll breathe. You'll be there. And that is wealth. Not the kind you can count in numbers, but the kind that makes her count the days until she sees you again. You know what's fascinating? Once a woman feels your presence and experiences the depth of your emotions, she starts to look for something else, something even more ancient, more primal. She starts listening for leadership, not control, not domination, leadership, the kind that feels like direction without force, intention without rigidity, confidence that isn't loud but felt. This isn't about you telling her what to do. It's about how you move through the world, the way you handle decisions, the clarity in your words, the steadiness in your choices. She notices it in the way you plan an evening, the way you guide a conversation, the way you take initiative without always waiting for permission. Women love leadership because it signals something they rarely admit out loud: safety with edge. It's exciting and it's grounding. When you step forward with a clear vision, not just for the relationship, but for your life, she feels like she can rest a little. She can exhale. She doesn't have to be in charge of everything. And no, she doesn't want to surrender because she's weak. She wants to surrender because she's tired of being strong all the time. She wants to feel held, not physically, but energetically. Think about the times when she's looked at you with admiration. I promise you, it wasn't when you were throwing money around. It was when you took the wheel of a difficult situation and drove it with poise. It was when you faced discomfort with courage, when you made her feel like, no matter what happens, he's got us. That kind of masculine leadership is rare, and it is deeply erotic. Now you might be wondering, do I always have to lead? Doesn't she want to lead sometimes too? Of course. But here's the secret: the kind of leadership women love most isn't about dominance. It's about rhythm, the ability to sense when to take charge and when to lean back. You show up and say, here's what I'd love to do Friday night. Does that excite you? Or you say, I've booked a weekend getaway. Just pack your bag. I've got the rest. Suddenly, she's not thinking about price tags. She's not comparing what you bought her to what someone else could offer, because what you're giving her is so much rarer: direction, attention, a feeling of being chosen and cherished. And when that kind of leadership is consistent, another craving begins to rise inside her, a desire that goes deeper than comfort, deeper than romance. She begins to crave your mystery, not the kind that hides secrets or plays games, the kind that keeps her curious, that makes her lean in and ask herself, who is this man? What is he dreaming of? What does he want next? You see, what we can predict, we grow numb to. If she can predict your every move, every answer, every routine, the spark fades. But when you remain a little untamed, when you stay connected to your own sense of wonder, to your own ambitions, your silence, your sensuality, she feels magnetized again. Mystery is the art of not being fully consumed by the relationship. It's being in love without being devoured. It's saying, I am yours and I am still mine. Women are drawn to men who have their own inner world, men who read books not to impress, but because they're hungry to grow, men who disappear into projects, into passions, into their own thoughts, not to escape her, but because their soul is lit by something larger than her approval. And in that space, she gets to admire you. She gets to chase you a little. Not because you're withholding, but because you're a man in motion. You've probably experienced this before. When you first met her, you were a little unknown, a little unpredictable. She didn't know how you'd react to her smile. She didn't know what you were thinking, and it drove her wild. Over time, many men start to collapse into predictability. You stop doing what made you attractive in the first place. You stop becoming and start just maintaining. But a woman doesn't want a man she can manage. She wants a man she can marvel at. And mystery doesn't mean being silent. It means sharing in a way that reveals layers. When you speak, it should feel like she's peeling back something new. When you listen, it should feel like there's something behind your eyes she hasn't quite grasped yet. When she asks, what are you thinking about? And you answer with presence but not total exposure, that moment becomes a dance. Give her the thrill of discovery, because here's the truth. Mystery is not about withholding. It's about depth. It's about being a man she can't finish, a man who evolves, a man who surprises her, not just with gestures, but with insights, with tenderness, with layers. When you combine presence, emotional depth, leadership, and mystery, you become unforgettable. You become the kind of man she talks to her friends about, not because you're rich, but because you feel rare. And that brings us to something tender, something she might not have the words for, but she feels it deeply when it's missing. She loves to be prioritized. Not just told, but shown that she matters. That out of everything in your world, your business, your ambitions, your friends, she is not just an afterthought, When a woman feels like she's at the center of your life, even when everything else is demanding your attention, she softens, she trusts you more, and prioritization doesn't mean being with her all the time. It means that when you are with her, you are with her. It means you remember the little details she told you 3 weeks ago. It means you're willing to cancel that meeting if she's in crisis. It means you don't just squeeze her into your schedule, you make space. It can be small, it can be a morning text before your day begins. It can be choosing to spend that one free evening with her instead of zoning out on your phone. It can be the moment you pull her close in bed and whisper, "You're the most important person in my world right now." That is a feeling no amount of money can replace, because at her core, she wants to belong. Not to your wallet, not to your house, but to your heart. When she feels prioritized, she blooms. Her affection grows. Her passion rises. She gives more, not out of duty, but because love has become a dance again. So ask yourself gently, when was the last time she felt like she was first? When was the last time you asked her, "What do you need this week to feel loved by me?" That question alone is worth more than any gift. And now, as we continue, you'll begin to see how all these elements connect. They're not separate. They are threads in the same tapestry. A woman is not looking for a man who gives her everything. She's looking for a man who makes her feel everything. We've talked about presence, emotional depth, leadership, mystery, and being prioritized. But there is one thing women will never say out loud, and yet it defines the temperature of her love, her desire, her devotion. It's your integrity, not the integrity that gets applause in public, the integrity that reveals itself when no one is watching, the kind that shows up in the quiet decisions you make when you could cut corners, when you could lie, when you could run, but you don't. Women may be drawn to charm, to confidence, to charisma, but they stay for integrity. They give their heart to it, because integrity makes them feel safe in the way that goes beyond physical protection. It means you are reliable. It means when you say you'll call, you do. It means when you say you're done with someone, you don't keep secret doors open. It means you don't manipulate, you don't ghost. You don't vanish when things get hard. You stay. Because the feminine doesn't just want safety for her body. She wants safety for her trust. She wants to give herself without doubting that you will disappear in the moment she becomes vulnerable. You see, integrity is your signature. It's the music behind your actions. She may not always be able to name it, but she can feel it. She can sense when your words and your actions are in harmony, and when they are, she exhales. And this is where she falls in love with the man, not with the job title, not with the car, not with the lifestyle, but with the man. Because money can buy a seat at the table, but only integrity builds a foundation. And when you move with integrity, you give her something rare in this world: certainty, not in what life will bring, but in you. That, my dear men, is priceless. And when she sees that you are consistent, trustworthy, emotionally present, mysterious, and full of direction, there's one more thing that turns all of that from admiration into passion. It's playfulness. Yes, that spark, that boyishness, that laughter, that unfiltered, uncensored version of you that still knows how to tease, flirt, surprise, be ridiculous. It's so easy to forget, especially as we age. That love isn't just sacred, it's silly, it's absurd, it's playful. Women crave a man who can carry her pain, yes, but also her joy. A man who doesn't always take himself too seriously, who can dance in the kitchen, who can throw a pillow at her on a Sunday morning just to hear her laugh. Do you know what playfulness tells a woman? It tells her you're safe. It tells her you're free. It tells her she's not a burden to you, that you enjoy her, that being with her is not a task but a delight. And playfulness is not immaturity, it's not avoidance, it's the ability to inject pleasure, novelty, lightness into the everyday. A man who can lead and feel and stand tall and still make her laugh. That is a man who awakens her body, her heart, her soul. Because that kind of man reminds her of who she was before life wore her down. And suddenly, love becomes a place of freedom again, not just function. So let her see your foolish side. Let her catch you off guard. Let her laugh at you and with you. Let her feel that being with you is an adventure, not a checklist. And finally, what ties all of this together, the real thread running through each of these 8 things, is your devotion, not desperation, not neediness, devotion. The quiet, strong, unshakable energy of a man who chooses her, not just once, not just in the honeymoon phase, but over and over again. Devotion is your commitment to watering the garden, even after the first bloom. It's showing up when it's boring, when it's hard, when you're tired. It's not always loud. It doesn't post itself on Instagram, but she feels it when you say, "I'm not going anywhere." Devotion tells her she is not being tolerated. She is being celebrated. That her messy, beautiful, chaotic self is wanted, even when life is messy, even when her hair isn't done, even when she doubts herself. And that is the deepest craving of all, not to be rescued, but to be chosen. Fully, repeatedly. When you give a woman devotion, it's as if her soul finally relaxes into your arms. And suddenly, she doesn't want to test you. She doesn't want to compare you. She doesn't want to push you away, because she knows that your love is not a performance. It's a home. And that is worth more than anything money could ever buy. So let's pause here together. You don't need to be the richest man in the room. You don't need to be the loudest, the fittest, or the most followed. You need to be the most real, the most awake, the most tuned into her world, not just what she says, but what she feels. Remember this, women don't fall for men who give them everything. They fall for men who see them, who feel them, who lead them, who surprise them, who honor them, who laugh with them, who hold them in integrity, who choose them with a heart wide open. That man, he doesn't need to flash wealth. He is wealth, and she knows it. There's something sacred that happens when a man stops trying to impress a woman and starts trying to understand her. Something shifts. In his voice, in his posture, in his presence. It's as if he stops performing and he starts listening, not just to her words, but to her breath, her silence, her changes in tone. He doesn't just respond, he reads. And this is what women respond to on a level that words can't always describe. Because deep beneath her external desires, what she's really aching for is connection. True connection. Not attention. Not performance, not flattery, but that moment when you're sitting across from her and she shares something small, something mundane, maybe something painful, and you don't rush in with advice or judgment or solution, you just receive it. You nod, you breathe, you stay. You give her the rarest gift in the world, your stillness. It's in these quiet, subtle moments that women bond, and it's often the men who learn how to slow down, not in pace, but in presence, who find themselves being remembered long after they leave a room. Why? Because they didn't try to fix her. They didn't try to dominate her. They didn't try to impress her with achievements. They made her feel safe to be herself. And when a woman feels safe to be herself around you, she starts to bring out parts of herself she doesn't even know she still had. Her playfulness returns. Her sensuality awakens. Her dreams start surfacing again. And you get to witness the beauty of a woman unfolding, not because you pressured her, but because you created the conditions for her to bloom. And this is the part most men miss. They think love is earned through effort, through grand gestures, through big shows of generosity. But women, they don't fall in love in volume. They fall in love in detail, in the way you touch her lower back as you walk through a crowded space, in the way your eyes soften when she tells you something that hurt her, in the way you bring her tea the way she likes it, 2 sugars, a little oat milk, no questions asked, in the way you tell her, I thought about you today when I heard that song. These are not acts of money. These are acts of memory, acts of attention, acts of tenderness. And tenderness, oh how women crave it. You see, tenderness is a strength. It is not weakness. It's the strength to slow down enough to care, to notice, to respond with softness, not urgency. It's the ability to hold her anger without needing to fight it, to hold her silence without needing to break it. It's in the way you say her name, the way your hand finds hers in the dark, the way you make her feel like she never has to be on with you, because there is nothing more attractive to a woman than a man she can relax with, not a man she has to impress, not a man she has to outthink, but a man whose energy says, you're safe here, you're seen here, you don't need to hide here. And this energy, this emotional availability, it cannot be bought. It must be cultivated through intention, through reflection, through growth, through doing the work. Yes, your work. Because let's be honest, the reason most men struggle with love isn't because they're not enough. It's because they've never been shown what women actually want. They've been told to achieve, to provide, to earn. But no one told them that women are not just choosing a man based on what he gives. They're choosing based on how he makes them feel in his presence. And so here's the hard truth. A man can earn 6 figures and still leave a woman feeling emotionally bankrupt. A man can drive a luxury car and still drive her away with emotional distance. A man can put diamonds on her fingers and still make her feel invisible. But a man who shows up with depth, with softness, with direction, with a sense of his own worth, that man can take her to a modest dinner and make it feel like a royal feast. Because it's not about the place, it's about the presence. It's not about the price, it's about the passion. She wants to feel like the luckiest woman in the world, not because of what you bought her, but because of who you are with her. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to change everything about yourself to become this man. You just have to return to who you already are underneath all the noise. The boy inside you who was once curious, emotional, expressive, fearless in his affection, the man you've become with wisdom, with calm, with strength and groundedness. Merge the two, bring back your emotional courage, reignite your imagination. Reclaim your leadership, not over her, but within yourself, because when a woman meets a man who is whole, not perfect, but whole, she can finally let go of needing to hold everything together. And now, she doesn't care what kind of car you drive. She cares how you drive her emotions. She doesn't care how many square feet your house has. She cares how safe her heart feels when it's resting in your chest. She doesn't care how many followers you have. She cares whether you follow through on your promises. She doesn't need a provider. She needs a partner. She doesn't want to be rescued. She wants to be recognized. And that is the difference. There comes a moment in every man's life, especially once he crosses that invisible threshold of 30, when he begins to ask himself, what do I want to be remembered for? Not just by the world, not by headlines or business cards or bank statements, but by the people closest to him, the woman who shares his bed, the children who trace his footsteps, the friends who watch how he loves. And in that moment, money fades. Because no one whispers about your bank balance when they miss you. They whisper about your laugh, your eyes, the way you made them feel like they mattered. And women, they whisper about how you loved them. Not in the beginning, when things were easy and light, but later, when stress came, when life got busy, when silence crept in, when habits dulled the edges of your attention. They remember the moment you looked at them after all those years and still saw them as your muse. They remember when you stayed calm while they spiraled. They remember when you apologized without being asked, because you could feel their disappointment. That's what lasts, because a woman's memory is not made of events, it's made of emotions. She forgets the exact words you said on your anniversary, but she remembers the feeling in your voice. She remembers the warmth of your hand on her thigh at the dinner table. She remembers that you didn't reach for your phone all night because she had your eyes. And in a world where most men are chasing applause, the rare man who gives his full attention becomes unforgettable. So ask yourself, when she's old, when she talks about you, what will she say? Will she say, "He made me feel bought"? Or will she say, "He made me feel beloved"? You have a choice every day to trade transactions for touch, to give your gifts, not just your goods. To be the man she doesn't just want, but the man she remembers. And the truth is, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be present, consistent, curious, alive. You need to risk being misunderstood so you can finally be seen. You need to stop performing and start relating, because money might get her attention. But these 8 things, your presence, emotional depth, leadership, mystery, prioritization, integrity, playfulness, and devotion, these are what win her soul. And when a woman gives you her soul, that is a power no man can measure. It's not something you can buy. It's something you earn with who you choose to be. And so I leave you with this. There is no greater wealth than being a man who knows how to love. Not from fear, not from fantasy, but from fullness. A man who turns love into a sanctuary, a mirror, a masterpiece. You can be that man, not someday, today, right now, with the next word you speak, with the next moment you choose to slow down, to breathe, to hold her gaze a little longer than you usually do. With the next time you reach for her hand, not out of habit, but out of hunger. Not the hunger of the body, but the hunger of the soul. So go back to her, or go forward to the one you haven't met yet, and don't bring her your wallet. Bring her your wholeness. Bring her your masculine stillness, your unwavering care, your fierce devotion, your beautiful, grounded you, because that, my dear man, is what she has been waiting for all along. If this message spoke to you, if you felt a truth inside you stir, if something softened or awakened, I want you to take a moment, drop a comment below, tell me what part hit home the most. Let's build a space for real conversations here, for men who don't just want to impress but want to connect. And if you found value in this, if it reminded you of who you are, if it reminded you of who she is, please give it a like, share it with a brother, a friend, a father, a son, someone who's ready to love better. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this, because we are not here just to survive relationships. We are here to make them sacred. Until next time, keep your heart open, your eyes present, and your love intentional. I'll see you soon.